Sarah. It's often a cliche people say about love at first sight. But the first time I saw you, I was blown away by just how beautiful you were. I never had any doubt that this is where I wanted to be, that I was going to be standing for you. I just wanted to do it in a way that you deserved. And I promise to keep that mentality whether it's our first year of marriage or our 50th, because you really do deserve it. It's been we and us and our from the very beginning. And I'm so incredibly proud of the life we built together. I'm beyond excited for what's yet to come. I love you loads. You look stunning. I'm incredibly proud to call myself your husband.
So good evening, everybody, and welcome to another evening of Meet the Suppliers. Tonight we have Chanel from Le Closet de Chanel, Debbie, Debbie from White Lace Events, and Victoria from Simply Stunning Flowers.
Hello.
So good evening. How are we all?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Oh, that's brilliant. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to you first, Victoria. If you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you can offer, and we'll start there.
I've got to try and keep this short, I suppose, haven't I? So, Victoria from Simply Stunning Flowers. Little bit about my background. I had a high street florist shop for a few years, which I loved having because I loved the day-to-day interaction with the customers and everything. But what came out of that is how much I enjoyed working with couples and deciding on their wedding flowers. And I just used to get really, really excited about weddings that were coming up. One thing that I found difficult about being in a high street shop is that you're trying to discuss wedding flowers and the phone's ringing and people are walking through the door, and it just didn't seem enough. So I wanted to sit down with people and really take on board everything that they wanted for their wedding. And quite often when people come to me, they don't even know what flowers they want. They've got an idea of what colours they want for their day. And the first thing is they normally say is, I don't know anything about flowers. And it's almost this kind of anxiety and this worry that's built up. And the whole point of coming to see me is that you hand it over to me and we sit and have a chat. And I don't expect everybody to know everything about flowers. That's why you need a florist at the end of the day. So I'm now I've been working in my own workshop for, I'm trying to work this out now, 4 years, and I love it. It's really sweet and the atmosphere is really cool. So everyone's welcome. Sometimes out in the workshop, obviously before we've had what we've had here, we used to have mum, bridesmaids, nan, aunt, we squeeze everybody in. We have the bunny rabbits running about. We've got the dog there. It's all very much a family, laid back atmosphere. And, you know, especially if we're sitting out in the garden on a nice hot day as well, you know, that all adds to it. And then I've just got loads of time to hopefully make everybody feel relaxed, take our time, go through everything, make sure you're feeling happy, make sure I really understand what you want on your wedding day for your flowers. And then that enables me to provide a really nice bespoke service.
Fantastic. And Debbie, what about yourself? What do you do?
Well, I'm Debbie and I'm from White Lace Events. We're based in Basildon, Essex. We specialise in event decor, balloons and event planning. We hold a large stock of hire items. It would actually be easier for me to say what we don't stock, which is fresh flowers, which is Vicky. We can hire anything from sweethearts to centerpieces, love letters, magic mirror, and much more. We pride ourselves on our personal service. A bit like Vicky, we like to be able to spend time with bride and groom. We like to sit down with you. We offer a free consultation service. We can be found on all social media platforms or via our website.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Chanel.
Hi. So I'm Chanel, and the company is Closet de Chanel, and I specialise in multi-way bridesmaids dresses and now jumpsuits. Basically, I'm a godsend to anyone who has bridesmaids that range in all different shapes and sizes. The multi-ways are it's basically one dress that can be wrapped in style to create over a look. So you might have somebody that wants to be covered or doesn't want to showing. Maybe a pregnant bridesmaid, like it's literally one dress that's perfect for everybody. So like the girls, I offer a really personal service. My company is literally me. It will only ever be me that you talk to. And my dresses and jumpsuits are available over 7 colours. So there really is something for everyone.
Fantastic. I'm not sure who it is, but someone just needs to turn their volume down a little bit. I've just got a little bit of feedback. So as long as you can hear just a little bit. What I would say is if anyone's got any questions this evening, we can't actually see your name. So if you want to leave your name in the actual message that you type, please do so, and we can pick them up this end, hopefully. Chanel, over to yourself again. I'm going to ask you, because just give us a little more insight on the dresses while you're on there, because obviously I've seen these in action from a promo shoot that we did, so they can go, like you say, 10 ways?
Over 30.
Oh, over 30, wow. So just give us, so what's the benefit from that? So let's say you've got different sizing in your bridesmaids, will you be able to have it one way to flatter everybody, like different options?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're made to measure, which means they cater for all shapes and sizes, heights and ages. And in terms of the styling, you'll see in the picture behind me, there's over 30 ways to style. So it is literally just one dress that can be wrapped to create, say, like the Bardo style behind me, a one shoulder. You might have somebody that's really conscious of the tops of their arms, so you can have sleeves. You might have a really common one is not a lot of girls like the backless look. So you can have your back completely covered. So yeah, there's literally a style to suit everyone, and they can be age appropriate as well. So I make the multi-ways literally from little flower girls at age 2, so they can be styled in an age appropriate way as well.
Fantastic. I'm not being mean to Debbie. It's Debbie's microphone that's causing the audio problem. So when I will bring Debbie in and out just until she can get the microphone sorted. So Victoria, just tell us a little bit about the services in the sense of with COVID. What did you do during lockdown? How did you adapt as a business?
Yeah, I think after the initial shock of it all, I very quickly did quite a few lives just to reassure all of my brides, really, because I think we were all a little bit, well, obviously this hasn't happened before, has it? So we were like, and I think people needed that reassurance. And although I couldn't tell them that everything was going to be okay and they were definitely going to get married last year, I wanted them to know that as soon as I knew anything, that information would be passed out to them. Although, to be honest, my brides have been so on the ball that they've actually been giving me information before I've been able to get it out to anybody else. But I think that was really important to me, that I stayed present the whole way through it, that I was still working, I was still on social media, I was still contactable. Because, you know, that's worrying, isn't it, if somebody suddenly goes quiet. I also took the opportunity to actually tidy the workshop, because that needed to be done. But also I've done loads and loads of research into what's the new trends, what's happening. I would never ever be ignorant enough to think that I'm at the top of my game and I know everything. I'm learning all the time, and I actually get a real kick from learning. And that's one thing that I like to be able to pass on to all weddings, that I've learned a new skill, or I'm really up on what's new and what's coming in. I work with a lot of, I take the opportunity to go out throughout the year and do a lot of training with other big florists as well. So I'm learning from the bigger names all of the time. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past year, although I've not been able to go and do much of that either. But it's all been online, learning. What can I pass out? How can I reassure people? And just, you know, keeping our fingers crossed that this is all going to change soon, but trying to stay pretty upbeat with it as well. So I managed to do a few little weddings last year in that little lull that we had, and they were lovely. It was lovely to be back working, and we really embraced sort of the situation and what it was, and they were really lovely weddings, so it was good to see.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we've done a couple together as well, which was quite nice. Debbie, I'm going to try you again. Hopefully that's it. Sounds better. Fingers crossed, Debbie.
Yeah, is that better?
No, it's still really echoey. But if you've got another device on that's listening to the live.
Could be, hang
Okay, I'll come back to you a second. Yeah, sort that out, and I'll come back in a second, because Victoria, we have a question. We'll keep it rolling. So, question for Victoria. Can you see that? What should the bride and bridesmaids do with their flowers during the day and evening? Should we put them in a vase?
Well, actually, I always deliver the flowers in a vase, so you don't have to worry about that. I know that some venues do really kindly provide vases for the flowers to be put into, but they're always delivered within a vase in a box, so that they can be either displayed nicely, or I do appreciate that a lot of you try to get them preserved afterwards as well. So essentially, once you've had the photographs done, they can then go back into that vase of water, and then they can keep drinking and staying happy for the rest of the day. Some people choose to actually just have one main centerpiece in the middle of the table, and then if you've got numerous bridesmaids, you can lay all of their bouquets down at the ends of the table as well, which fill the table up. It's another way of using them. So that's really it. Yeah. So, but as I say, that all of my bouquets come delivered in a vase for the bride anyway, so you haven't got to worry about that.
Perfect. And just while we're on, and give Debbie a second more, we have a couple of questions for you, Chanel. I've brought a dress, but would love to see some styles. I think this is something that we're working on, isn't it? Just getting a video and.
Yes, it is, and I promise they'll be out really soon. I hold my hands up with that. It's probably a bit of a confidence thing on my part. My business it's literally just me. I don't pay anyone to, do anything. It is literally just me. So I have promised that by the end of February, I've got a new website coming out. So yes, I will be doing tutorials basically. So hopefully show pretty much every style front and back. And they'll be available on the website and on my Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yeah, so your YouTube videos will be a little bit like what I see groomsmen doing with cravats. When they've got time themselves, there's always three blokes huddled round an iPhone, all watching a YouTube video and practicing and trying to get it done. So they are really useful bits to put on.
Yeah, at the minute, I tend to send links to some great videos on YouTube that are out there. But yeah, this is definitely something that will be out very soon.
Fantastic. And here's another one for you. You can see these, can't you, yourself? Is that right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Dresses, which messenger you cry on? Okay, so you need to message me and I'll send you the measurement guide. There's 3 measurements, a bust measurement, a waist, and then waist to the floor. If your bridesmaids are wearing heels on the wedding day and you want the dresses to be floor length, then yeah, ideally you want to measure with your heels on. If you don't have the heels yet, I mean, generally like 2-3 inches really is probably the average, maybe a bit more in Essex, but that's generally the average heel length. So you can just add that on to the length, but message me and I will send you the measurement guide.
Perfect. Right, fingers crossed. We got it this time, Debbie. Yep, that's much better. So Debbie, what did you do during your lockdown? That's what we was asked. I don't know if you could hear us still or not, but yeah. Did you have any projects that you got up to? Did you do anything for the business? Did you take a sidestep?
No, I didn't. Lockdown's been really busy for us at White Lace Events. We certainly didn't let the grass grow under our feet. After the initial shock, spending some time reevaluating, thinking about how we can move the business forward, which part of our business we could adjust to make work for us to keep the business still going. We decided it wasn't just an evaluation of the business, it was an evaluation of myself and what my skills were and what I could do. So I'm an event dresser, I'm a qualified wedding coordinator or functions coordinator, and I'm also a qualified balloon artist. So I decided that I would look into the balloon and party side. So I've always done balloons. It's something that I've always done in the background, really. Weddings was always my number one. So I pushed forward with advertising for balloons and party items like light up love letters, sweethearts, things when you were allowed to go into people's gardens. From that, it's just snowballed really. So in October we opened a shop. So I know you're going to think crazy times. We actually opened a balloon and party shop with a wedding showroom at the back, which is set up ready to have consultations with my lovely brides and grooms, but obviously it hasn't had much usage at the moment. The balloon side of the business is absolutely thriving. It's kept White Lace Events out there. I'm amazed at how much balloons has put us on the map. I don't know, I think because I always focused on weddings, we always focused on that being our main thing, and actually there is other ways to adapt your business to still make money and keep your business running. I miss weddings, but I do in the same sense get the buzz from providing balloons for people as I did when I was decorating somebody's wedding.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's just keeping that contact, I think, with clients, with customers, having that rapport and seeing. And I think what we all do is just seeing that face light up when you hand over something that you've created. No better feeling. So I'm just going to walk down because lots of questions tonight, which is fantastic. So please do keep sending those in. Victoria, there's a few here for you. So Victoria, what's your most popular type of bouquet for brides?
Okay, I mean the hand-tied bouquet still stays really popular. I think the good thing with a hand-tied bouquet is, and this is one thing I say to my brides that ask for a shower bouquet, and shower bouquets are beautiful, but they're quite heavy and they're quite cumbersome, and depending on how it's made, quite often they're sometimes made within like a foam holder with a handle, and then you're quite staged all day with how you need to hold your flowers. You kind of need to stand like this so they fall down at the front. And I say, if you're someone like me that's a bit handsy and a bit, if you've got a hand-tied bouquet, if you're if you're putting it up there or you've got it down there, it's much more natural. And I think you can just be more fun with it and more natural with it. But what's coming in now, which I get really, really excited about, is kind of a mix between the two. So we've got a hand-tied bouquet, but it's really natural, and there's some cascading flowers coming down the front. It still means you can hold on to those stems and be really natural with it, but you've got this really kind of almost small little shower effect. And depending on the time of the year, you can have like clematis and things like that falling out of the bouquet, and then it gets really, really exciting. So I think that's where we're going to be going onwards from now. Anyway, I hope so.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's when you said that, don't throw it, it did make me laugh, because when I sent you a clip once of a video where we got the groom to throw the bouquet for a unique shot, and it went a little bit wrong because one of the groomsmen come and kicked it as hard as he can.
I can't look. I can't.
And it's something. Yeah, it was something that I'd never ever considered before, because everybody laughed, the video, the couple laughed and all that. And then I showed Vicky, and she said, "That is my idea of a horror film." So the next question's for everyone is, what's your gut feeling on size of weddings for this year? Me personally, I think we're going to be extremely lucky to have 50 for majority of this year, because I do believe that when they come back, who knows, but when they come back, they've got to come back with some value to keep the industry going. So that's my personal feeling, and I think that will probably stay that way until later in the year, personally. But as Aaron said last Friday, and I'd never thought of it like that, take every day as it comes, because we generally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But Chanel, what do you think in wedding sizes? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree. I can't see it being any more than 50. I think right, just answering it in a completely different way. You've got two types of couples. You've got the couples that the most important thing is that they just want to get married, and there'll be the couples that, you know, they go with the 50 and they, you know, they have the best day ever. And then you've got the other type of couples that want the wedding they've always dreamed of, and the wedding that they've probably planned for the last 2 years or even more. So actually waiting another year to them, like, it's worth it. So I think it just depends on the couple, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm with you. I can't really see it being any more than, unless something really dramatic happens with the jabs and everything, like over the next couple of months, and there being a bit of a breakthrough there. I'm with you on that one with 50.
Debbie?
I agree with you, Andy. I think we're looking maximum is going to be 50. But again, we don't know. We're only guessing. The guidance has been really poor on weddings. Who knows? I think 50. I'd like to be optimistic and think it's going to be 50. I don't think we're going to start back off straight away at 50. I think we're going to work up to that, like we were before on this like staggered staging of numbers. But I guess it's going to depend on what Chanel said on the vaccine and stuff like that.
Exactly. Victoria, come to you last.
Yeah, I kind of been thinking that this is going to be a year of small weddings. Certainly, I think a lot of my 2020 brides that have already changed their date 3 or 4 times have said, whatever it is this year, we're just going to go for it. We're not moving the date again. So for them, I think 50 sounds wonderful, doesn't it, right now? You know, if we could get to that sounds like you've got all your Christmases come all together. So I think anything between 30 and 50 will be a real bonus, just so that the people that have waited so long and been so disappointed that can have, you know, a day with a good amount of people to celebrate.
Yeah, but what I'd also add, just to finish off on that question, is you've got there's a lot of positives to look at. So although we can't answer it, nobody can, no one's got a crystal ball, we don't know what will come next week with this, the way it's been the last 12 months. But look at the positives: vaccines coming out, medication coming out all the time. Like, just, I know it's completely off topic, but just for example, my mum was an added checker on the app to see when she'd get her injection. She was told it would be May and June. She had it done yesterday. So, and that was only last week that she checked, and she wasn't we've got some left over, can you get here now? It was you have been invited, would you like to book your appointment? So it's changing daily. So I would stay firmly positive, and just go by the announcements. And like you said, Chanel, if you're a couple that would be happy with 50, maybe 70, if we're super, super duper lucky, then yes. If you want 150, then probably not, is the honest answer.
And I think you've got to see the silver lining as well, haven't you? Like, we've all got those people that actually probably don't really want at our wedding, so see it as a silver lining. You can't invite them now.
Okay, where was we there's lots of questions here, which is, like I say, fantastic. Another flower question. So what do you suggest a bouquet for young girls aged 4 and 5?
Yeah, this is so you can get like the little flower wands that are really cute. I always say it depends on the girls themselves. You know, you've got little 4 and 5 year old girls that are still quite young at heart, and you think, yeah, they would love a flower wand and the novelty of it. Then you've got the age 4 or 5 girls that are going on 24, 25, and they want what the big bridesmaids have got. So I think you know your bridal party well enough. And what's really cute, if you've got little girls that really aspire to be the big girls, make them a really small version of what the older bridesmaids have got, and then they feel like they're part of it. Equally, if you don't think they're going to hold on to something all day, then maybe like a hair vine or something like that matches the older bridesmaids is quite good, because once it's on their head, they normally forget about it. So that's another way of bringing it in. Ultimately, whatever you give a 4 or 5 year old is going to be whacked about and walloped on a few people. So yeah, I think just go on the children themselves. You know they are. I tell you what, one bride did do once. She gave them baskets like with petals in, and then there was Haribo under the petals, so that just kept them occupied while the service was going on. They were probably peeling them off the walls after the service, after they'd eaten all the Haribos, but yeah, you know, it was another idea to do. But as I say, young at heart little girls, flower wands are always really cute, or go for a smaller version of what the big girls have got.
Perfect. And then we're going to stick with you, because I'm just going to go in order and I can't get through. And this is quite funny, because this was a question I was about to ask on the basis of what I just said about the video. Now, I know this is becoming really, really common, of people going, oh, no, that's the wrong bouquet. Go and get my throw-in bouquet. So it's a big thing now.
And I say, because bridal bouquets, and again, you know, you probably wouldn't know this, but a hand-tied bouquet takes me up to about an hour to design. You know, every stem is stripped and conditioned and placed into position. So when people go, oh, well, I'm not that bothered because I'm just going to throw it at some point, and I think, no, I can't. That hard work. I can't cope. So yeah, if you do want to throw it, and it does make a good photo and it is fun, I'm more than happy to make a smaller version that can easily be thrown, and then your one can be kept in pristine condition and not bashed and taken someone's hat off and stuff like that. So yeah, always more than happy to do that.
Perfect. Chanel, over to yourself. This is great. I've got no work to do this evening. Keep it going. So I know it may sound silly, but with multi-way dresses, is there not a lot of leftover material that needs to be wrapped around over and over again?
No, so the strap length is designed so that so you'll see the dress behind me, once it's wrapped in any way, actually I'll just turn it around so you can see, you're then left with no more material, but basically it's not going to be longer than the dress itself. So the idea is that once it's tied, it camouflages into the back of the dress. All of my dresses, the hem, it's like a raw hem. So like worst case scenario, if you didn't like the long strap that you're left with and you didn't want to bow it, you can just cut it. That's what they're designed for. It's not a silly question at all.
Perfect. Sounds like quite a common one.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of, they're not so much questions, but I will pop them up. So it's here. Debbie's balloons are amazing. Thank you for all the orders you've done for me. The fan club's in. There's another one. I've ordered balloons from White Lace Events. Fantastic.
They are fabulous.
You know what? Can I just say that it does just go to show that when you really need to, there is ways to turn your business to make money still, or to keep your business afloat.
Yes, no, that's it. It's adapting.
Absolutely.
I was involved in lots of groups, lots of chats, lots of forums when all this was going on at the beginning back in March, and there was people there that was just not really that bothered, and there was people there like, right, okay, this is what I'm doing. Like there was a few of us that just sat there and thought, right, okay, instantly package straight out. We do COVID small weddings instantly straight away, and we got bookings. Everyone else that was expecting people to come to them to ask was still sitting there waiting for someone to come ask when we went into the lockdown in December. So it is all about adapting. The there is one here. What is a shower bouquet?
Shower bouquet. Yeah, see, this is the thing, isn't it? And that's why it's good to have a consultation, because even like the first step, it can be what I don't even know what that is. And I haven't got an example here, actually. I wasn't expecting that as a question. A shower bouquet is when it looks like a teardrop. So it's bigger at the top, and then it kind of comes down and the flowers all fall. Some people call it a cascading bouquet. Some people call it a teardrop bouquet. So I hope that explains it. I've just always called it a shower bouquet because that's how I learned it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, they're actually quite my friend. I'm right in saying they're the one that just runs down the dress and they at an angle. The handle's at an angle. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, and that's what I mean when you end up being quite posed when you hold it, because you have to hold it in front of you, and then like I've just done, your shoulders seem to come up a little bit, and people seem, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes they look a little bit tense when they're holding a shower bouquet, as opposed to a fun hand-tied bouquet. But each to their own. Yeah, that's it. One of them. Have whatever you want.
It's quite funny because we do pre-shoots and I encourage people and they say, and I said, they're so important because we go through little tips and stuff like that. And the bouquet is the one, because people spend thousands on dresses and then they do that and cover all the detail. We're like, bring it down a little bit to that. So for any brides wondering, hip height is amazing. Get it on the hip. That's how we're trained as photographers. And it will look fantastic. Victoria, we stand with you, I'm afraid.
We're allowed to in August when we get married. Oh, I hope you can get married in August. We'll be staying on site in 10 minutes and want to get August. Okay, that's a good one. What I would actually suggest, Lisa, is have you thought about what you're going to have for your centerpieces? Because why don't you have vases of flowers for your centerpieces, which then could be moved into the guest rooms afterwards? That's what I would do, because when you order centerpieces from me that come in vases, they all come with the vase anyway. So rather than then trying to give those away to people at the end of the night as gifts, and then I think that solves that problem. And how lovely is that when they get back to their room that evening, some flowers have appeared in the room that they get to take home. Yeah, do that, Lisa. That's really good. I like that.
Perfect. Debbie, one for yourself. Sort of what time scale does it take for you to set up an average wedding from sort of start to finish before the wedding?
It really does depend on the size of the wedding, how many centerpieces, how many chair covers. So roughly we would leave home at 8 in the morning. We would load the van if we haven't done the night before. We would head to the venue. So I would say average 3 to 4 hours, depending on the size of the wedding. If it's a small wedding, we can be in and out within an hour, 2 hours. I normally use staff if we need to be in and out quickly. So if we get told by the venue that we've only got 2 hours to turn around, then we'll just put people on it to get it done. But most venues are really good. 3 hours, I would say, is the time. But if you ask me for 200 chair covers, it could take a hell of a lot longer.
Perfect.
Which I have done.
Right. Address question. So Chanel, your dresses are stunning and the colours are beautiful. So please, they show every shape and size. Okay, it wasn't a question. It was a lovely comment. There was another dress one, but I'll come back to it. And I think we're back to flowers, Vicky. Best idea to keep flowers after the wedding, please.
Yeah. So as I say, when I deliver your bouquet, it will be in a vase full of water and it will have flower food in there as well. So as long as nobody throws that water out of the vase, ideally, when you put those flowers back into the vase after you finish with them, they're instantly, if you've got someone really savvy with you that can take them off and give them a snip, all the stems, because they'll have been out of water for a while, and then put them back in the water, that would be amazing. But obviously I appreciate that that's a big ask on the day. So yeah, they'll go back into the water. They're better off going into water than not at all. And then just keep them somewhere cool. I'm imagining because you're thinking of sending them off again to get them preserved or something. So just keep them in water, keep them cool. That's the best you can do with them, really.
Perfect. And I'll jump straight in there with another question for you.
Tulips. Yeah, no, they're not in season in August. There's not really. Rather than trying, well, there's a flower called Lisianthus, which has got kind of a tulipy shape, but it's a very small head, so you're not going to get that kind of big-headed tulip shape. I think what I always say to my brides is go with, rather than trying to match a flower that's out of season, go with the best flowers that are in season. I think that will make you feel happier with the end result with what you get, because if you try and buy something that's just gone out of season, it's just not going to always look great. And there's a reason why they've gone out of season, because they just don't look great still. So I think, although it might hurt, and I have people that will desperately want peonies, do you know what? The only other thing is, because Holland do grow flowers all the time and lots of them, it might not mean that we can't get them in August. Might be able to, you just might be restricted on colours. So I would never say no, because we can look into it. It just might mean that they're really expensive because they are out of season and they're being specially grown. And it might just mean that the colour restrictions are there a little bit. So I'm not going to say no on that, because that's worth looking into. But if not, a Lisianthus.
That's just delighted the groom no end that they're going to be expensive. I bet. I don't know who asked the question, but I bet the volume went down on the phone then, just in case you heard. Yeah. So, question for White Lace Events: what is the colour this year for decor? What's been popular?
For this year, I would say that we're looking at, myself and Vicky was actually discussing this yesterday. I think we're leaning more towards the natural colours, peaches and the natural tones in colour. I think, and Vic, you can question this, I think the dusky pink is now going to start to subside a little bit, and the rose golds and those kind of colours that people were looking at. And I think we're going to move more into the natural with a bit more foliage coming in. People seem to be interested in these loose style arrangements, the loose style bouquets. So hopefully, I think we're going to move away, which we've had for 2 years, Vic, 3 years, 2 years, dusky
well,
pink.
You heard it here first, but I think peach is making a comeback.
Peach is the colour, yeah.
Chanel's down the bottom there, agreeing with you, officially nodding her head in the corner.
I agree, Chanel.
Like last year, it was all the dusky blues and the sage greens, which obviously 90% of those weddings have postponed. So we are going to see those colours still, but I totally agree. Gold, champagnes, nudes, like I say, peaches they're coming back. They are making a comeback for sure. And burnt orange rust colours for the autumn. Last year, and have one inquiry for a rust or a burnt orange, and now people are going crazy for it. So definitely the more earthy tones are back.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think that sort of answered the next question, because this come straight after what's the most popular bridesmaid colour for 2021. And I'm guessing you've just answered that, Chanel and Debbie. So this one, and there is I won't put them both up, but the add-on to this question was one to uplift. So. Okay.
So if you're talking about the best bra for my dresses, you've got options. So if you are happy not to wear a bra, my dresses come with a like a bust band, like a boob tube. They're really, really great for support. I've had girls with, larger busts that haven't worn a bra and are happy to wear them, and they look great. If you want to wear a bra, if you're set on wearing a bra with 2 straps, then obviously the only way to hide your straps is to wear the dress with the 2 straps. I would get a multi-way bra to go with your multi-way dress, because then that means you can have it halter neck, one shoulder. You can get low back extenders, or you can get the low back bodies as well, which are really good. But my biggest advice with any kind of underwear, no matter how big or small, go seamless. Nothing worse than seeing lace.
Perfect. Just because it's an open question, not just what did you ladies wear on your wedding dresses? Can you help any advice there, Victoria and Debbie?
Well, I'll go first, Vic.
Yeah, you go for it.
I've got a bigger bust, so I was really conscious with my wedding dress. I didn't want to be spilling out. I didn't want to be I didn't want anyone seeing too much than what they should be looking for. So I went for a corset style back dress because I felt that it held me in the right places. And I had the top of my dress. It was a sweetheart neck, but obviously sweetheart's not very good for a big bust. So I had the top of the dress adjusted with the corset back to help with a bigger bust.
Perfect. Victoria?
Yeah, see, I've got the opposite. I'm trying to think now. I've been married for a long while. I was just going to say I went commando, but I think that means the other option, doesn't it? I don't think that means no bra. I'm trying to think. I had a halter neck dress, and I think it had something built in, like Chanel was saying. I'm pretty sure, even all those years ago, it had something built in, because I don't remember having anything. Yeah, I'm not much help. That was really rubbish.
What about you, Andy? Have you got any tips?
The answer is yes and no, I don't wear a bra. So, Victoria, in tradition, the mother of the groom to have a flower to pin on her outfit.
Yeah. So, like a little, traditional pinned corsage. It's so funny because quite often, if I have a couple here, the bride will come running back in afterwards and go, "Just make my mum's nicer." Something along those lines. And then you get some brides that are like, mother of the brides and grooms that are like, no, I don't want anything, and or keep it very plain or very simple. And then you do get the odd one that's like, I want this great big wrist corsage, and I want it to. But yes, it is traditional, and I think for what they cost in the long term, just make everyone feel part of it on the day and give everybody a nice buttonhole or a corsage to wear.
Perfect. Just answer a question. Is it still tradition when they used to, didn't the mothers used to wear them upside down, like the pinholes?
Yeah. Well, they're kind of made. Yeah. They do go. I mean, I make mine in the shape, so it's kind of obvious that they go upside down. Again, I'm saying that it's obvious to me, but it may not be. So when I do deliver them, I do say put them on that way. So the idea, again, coming back to the shower bouquet and the teardrop shape, they should be like a teardrop kind of shape.
Perfect. Yeah, I always get put under pressure because I always get asked, and I generally should know, but it's always always gets stuck. So I just make it up and hope for the best. So we got asked a question here. Planning as if my wedding will go ahead, so trying to keep excited about the planning. But what's your advice for keeping your bridesmaids involved with your planning if they think it might not go ahead? If they might not think it go ahead, I would certainly say if someone's a little bit negative, you don't want that around you. It's my first instinct feeling, because you want to look forward to it. You need to stay positive and enjoy it. But that's a man's untactile opinion. So I'll go to the girls and let you answer that one.
I personally think you need to remember that it's your day. This is your build up. I think Andy's right. Whether that's a man's opinion or not, I do think he's right that if somebody is a bit negative, it's not the kind of person that you need around you at the moment, and it's not the kind of person that you need to be listening to. You're trying to stay positive, and remember, this is your day, this is your decision, your wedding on the day that you're doing it. So I just think that you need to focus on yourself and think about your excitement. Don't worry about other people.
Perfect. Victoria?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think this past year has affected so many people in so many different ways, though, hasn't it? So, I mean, certainly, a lot of my friends, closest friends, are acting very differently to how I would have expected. So I think try and make a bit of an allowance if they're acting a little bit differently to how you would expect them to be, because it's just been a funny old year. But ultimately, yeah, you need to focus on yourself. This is your wedding. You've been planning it for a long while. And that's good. Take yourself away from it maybe, and let them do their little thing and you do your thing and still keep the excitement going.
Perfect. Chanel?
Yeah, I agree with all of you. But do you know what? From being a bridesmaid and being a bride, when you're a bride to be, you're in this bubble and you want everyone to be in the bubble with you. But like the girl said, like your bridesmaids also have their own life and their own things going on. So it's like, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because like part of you is like, right, sack them off, they don't deserve to be my bridesmaid. But at the same time, like, yeah, they might have stuff going on too, and it's not them getting, you know, it's not them getting married ultimately. Yeah, it's a real tricky one. But do you know what? That's why the Facebook groups are great, because everyone's in the same position as you, whereas your bridesmaids aren't really. They're the ones that they're not getting married. So the groups are great for, you know, getting excited and
Yeah, no. And what I would say is that the whole point of this group is a safe place for brides to come and ask these types of questions. Because there's a lot of groups where they just let everybody in. Now we kind of keep it quite tight for the brides and grooms if they want to come in. So you can ask questions that might be delicate to ask family members or friends or best friends. So yeah, use the group for what it's there. You are protected. We don't let anyone in that doesn't tell us that they even supply a service or their wedding date. So yeah, you're pretty safe in that sense. So the questions continue for Debbie. Let's get you up, Debbie. There we go. So what seems to be the most popular wedding decor theme style?
Again, we're working at the moment with a lot of postponed weddings. Blossom is still very in. There is still a lot of people having the blossom trays and the with candles and stuff, and looking at the classic look. We're also starting to see a lot of people that are asking. We only do 2 types of floral higher centerpieces. We're starting to get people to asking a lot more about the looser type centerpiece that's got a lot more foliage in it, where for prior years it's been the tight flower balls with the flowers all very tight together. I'd like to see, as everything starts to open up, what people are starting to book for 2022 and 2023. I definitely think we're going to be going more down the natural route. I really do. That's where I see it going.
Perfect. Vicky, lots of flower questions tonight. This is great.
Oh, good.
Are some bouquets really heavy?
They can be, yeah. I mean, I get some brides here that like, I want a bouquet that's bigger than my head. And that's the first thing I say, that's fine. I can make it that big, but it's going to be heavy. And then there are likewise other brides that I don't want the bouquet to be heavy. So I'll just work with you. Again, it depends on the heads. Like if we're going end of summer into autumn, there's a flower called a protea. I don't know if any of you guys know what I'm talking about. And they're huge. The heads, they can be really, really big. And if you've got a few of those bad boys in your bouquet, that is really going to start weighing that down. So, but again, the advice is that is going to make it heavy. So if you want one of them in, just have one, and then we'll add some other bits in there to complement it. But yeah.
But it's funny you say that, because many a time I've said, "Oh, I'll carry that for you," and I might have picked I'll tell you where rings a bell is anyone that's been to Maiden's Barn or got married at Maiden's Barn. The greenery, you have to walk back through the car park as if you're going out, walk round the fence and walk all the way back. It's probably about a 5-10 minute walk when you've got a dress. And I'm always like, Mr. Gentleman, let me carry them. I've had some bouquets where by the time I get to the end of the car park, I'm like, do you know what, gentlemen, have it back. It's too heavy. I just couldn't believe it. I think you've had this all day. But yeah. We've answered that one. Victoria, back to you.
Larger numbers if it's outside the market. If that's the case with the flowers. Yeah. I've worked in some really extreme heat waves. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, really. I mean, I would say if you are that worried about it, then flowers in water, again, in vases, is going to be the best chance and best option for keeping them as fresh as possible, because they're just going to keep drinking all day. it happens. And I mean, I'm sure all suppliers find the same problems really. If it's a hot day, then everything starts to wilt, including the suppliers. So I think go for something in water if that is a real worry. But then, you know, we have heat waves sometimes in April, don't we? We get these unexpected ones that nobody could have planned for. And then, you know, August can be a washout, sadly, sometimes. So, but that's, again, something for me to worry about and not you. But I will, again, when those flowers arrive, they're all cut and conditioned and put straight into water with water food. So those flowers... And I've got the florist fridges in my workshop that keeps the flowers at the optimum temperature. So all of your flowers will be kept in there until I have to leave to set your wedding up. So they are kept as fresh at the best temperature, drinking. So they've got the best fighting chance they've got when they get to the venue.
Perfect. There's lots of bra conversations going on. So we started something there. Debbie, I think I just spotted one for yourself, and this is let's hope there's no venues watching, Debbie. Very controversial. What is your favourite venue you have decorated?
That's quite hard, actually. It's a hard question because I think whatever the venue, whether it be a village hall to a big grand manor house, they all look lovely when they're decorated. My personal favourite, I love decorating High House. I just like the quirkiness and the different things there. I love the ceremony area. I had a couple of weddings booked for last year that have moved into this year for Hatfield Place, and I've been with a couple of my bride and grooms to have a look round, so I was really looking forward to decorating that one, and that hasn't come off yet, but hopefully if the postponements are allowed to go ahead, I'll get to decorate that one this year. Perfect.
Glad I won't ask that question. Might upset someone. Do you know someone in a pub asked me that? They said, "Oh, do you have your favourite venue?" And I was like, "Yeah, whoever feeds me the most."
I was on the Q&A actually, Andy, the other day about on the wedding day, should you cater for the suppliers, like the on the day suppliers? Is that a thing? Did you have that? Because I've actually seen a contract of somebody that I booked for something that actually said in the contract about feeding them. Yeah.
No, it's not in my contract. I think I'm not. Look, people have got to do what they've got to do. I just find it a little bit cheeky, and I accept that there's certain venues there where it's like £75 plus per head, and they won't reduce it for a supplier. Majority do.
Tucking into your fillet steak.
Yeah, exactly. But I always say, listen, so there's a couple of big venues that are quite expensive that are literally one roundabout away from a McDonald's, and I always say, and I know the price of them supply meals, and I say to the couple that please don't do it. Like, I will happily go over there, get myself a meal, and I'll come back. It's only like places that are in the middle of nowhere that we sort of say, look, we will have to go and get something to eat. We don't expect you to feed us. It's lovely if you do. We're quite happy with just arranging us sandwiches and a bowl of crisps. That's enough. We don't want anything more than that. Because I don't know if anyone's done a wedding for 12-hour wedding day, taking photos, and they give you a 3-course meal and you've got to get back up and go again. It's not easy. It's a tough ask to get off that leather sofa that they put you in. But no, I would definitely say if you are in the middle of nowhere, don't just keep them on site. So if you can afford to do it, because you don't want someone driving half hour, 20 minutes each way to go and get something to eat. Things can happen, God forbid, but cars can break down, accidents can happen. And then your photographer or your videographer is no longer on site. So just bear that in mind when you see the price and go, well, how much? I'm not paying him to eat. I'm already paying him X, Y, Z to photograph my wedding. And I totally get it. I totally get it. But just talk to him. Like I say, I run my business on the basis I'm fair. If you want to do it, I will never say no. And thank you very much. And it's great, actually. I got an email the other day from a bride with a menu saying, Andy, this is the menu. What would you like? That's quite common.
That's nice.
So, yeah. It's like I say. It just speak to your photographer or videographer, because we won't want you to pay silly money. And most now do a supplier's dinner, which is a reduced cost, which is just a main meal, I think. There was another question I got here. Andy, how many photos do couples have in their albums on average? So the way I personally do this, and I know I set you a number of pages in a package or a collection, whichever one you choose. And I always say, look, pick your photos after, because you don't want to commit to how many pictures or how many pages prior to the wedding, because you don't know what you're going to want to put in the book. I'm pretty fair. I say, look, pick them, I'll design it. If we go over in page numbers, we'll talk about the cost. If you don't want the extra cost, we take pages out. It's simple. And we do that with a design, a product. It's like tennis, goes backwards and forwards, until you're happy and you push yes. But the way we work in pricing terms is we try not to upsell after. We make the package what we need to earn. And then we haven't got to try and lead you down a garden path at the end of the wedding and upsell you something that costs just as much as it did to have us at your wedding. So yeah, it's pretty transparent, our packages. Number of photos with our most popular book is 30 pages. And I would say it's approximately anything between 60 and 80 photos in there. And bearing in mind your group shots, you're probably going to have potentially up to six on one page, so that gets rid of a lot of them, and then you can spread out. But one little thing I would say about albums, what a lot of couples don't do is they don't make it about themselves. Now, the wedding album should be a dedicated book to you and your husband or your partners, whatever it may be, not all the pictures of your guests. We offer separate, cheaper books for that sort of thing, but it should be a bespoke Italian handmade masterpiece that's about you, nobody else, you. That's my only advice on that. And Victoria, we're back to you again. You'll need another drink, Victoria.
I know, it's all right, I've got the bottle here.
So do you think it's a good idea to have a flower feature such as a wall or an arch for guests to take pictures near?
Oh, this is a good one, actually, because it kind of crosses over between me and Debbie. And this is primarily where me and Debbie do actually work really well together. Yes, it is a really lovely idea. Some venues have really nice staircases inside, or they have really nice pergolas outside where you can get married. In all honesty, I mean, a fresh archway, it does look absolutely stunning. It costs a fortune and it's really difficult to move it. So say I get there and I set it all up and then the clouds come over and it's looking really unlikely that you're going to get married outside. It's really difficult to then try and move that. If you do want fresh, that's totally doable, but I would say there's kind of a cheat. Let's kind of make a semi-arch out of flowers tied together, which can then be moved inside quite easily, maybe with some floor standing ones at the bottom. So it kind of looks like a slightly broken arch, but creates a really nice backdrop and can be moved as well. When it comes to people wanting full arches, that's where Debbie comes in. And I will always say to people, I'm never going to be a millionaire, am I? Don't pay that money. I know someone. But yeah, no, Debbie has got really lovely artificial flower arches and moongate. Yeah. And then the really lovely kind of country garden with the curtain and so there's and then that's just a higher charge. So it can be moved, right? No?
It was moved. Yeah. That small wedding that we did where we used my moongate artificial arch.
Oh yeah, that got moved, didn't it?
Flower foliage, which smelled absolutely beautiful. And that was at the top of the aisle, and then that got moved beyond the back, the top table. I think Andy was actually a photographer there as well. So that was the small one we did before we actually locked down again.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I try and hang about as late as I can at weddings. If I have done an outdoor setup and we've all looked up at the sky and it's starting to look, because I've actually got on the road, kind of halfway home, and the heavens have opened. So I've turned around and gone back, and we're all outside taking the outside flowers inside. So what I try and do now is hang about as much as I can, even to the point where the photographer sometimes takes pictures of me because I'm there so late. He presumes I'm something to do with the wedding. I'm like, oh no, I'm going now. I've done it. I'm sure there's some bride and grooms that have looked at 3 photos and thought, how late was she there? She wasn't invited. Home. But that's just so I know that wedding is set up in the best way it can be for your day, really.
Perfect. Chanel, so do you get a lot of brides that are going abroad use your dresses? Because I'm guessing they look, when I felt them when we done the shoot, they're quite thin and versatile. Is it a good idea to take them abroad?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can speak from experience because that's actually how my business started. I got married in 2016 in Cyprus. My 6 bridesmaids, who ranged in size from like 6 to 22, 3 out of the 6 were also pregnant, and our wedding day was 46 degrees. So yes, they are brilliant for abroad. They're really nice and lightweight, and the material is like thick enough to keep you warm in winter, but it's a really cooling material as well. So I get a lot of brides choose these dresses for destination weddings.
Perfect. And how would they, when they get the other end, or talk us through it? So you're packing your case. What's the best way to put them in?
They wrap the dresses, like the wrap dresses that wrap. Yeah, the material doesn't really crease, so the best way is to lay the dress out on the floor and almost roll it. It's like packing your case with normal clothes, really. Rolling it's the best way to keep them crease free. And then I always say, when you get to your hotel, put them on a hanger. If there is any creases, the best way is just to pop them in the bathroom when you've got the shower on, and the steam from the shower will just get rid of any creases. You won't need to have them steamed or anything like that.
Okay, and just because these were pre-asked questions, what is the price range, or is it a set price for the dresses, or the more you get, the more? How does it work?
No, it's a completely set price because they are made to measure. So the children's dresses range from £59 for infants, £79 for juniors, and adults' dresses, no matter what size, are £89, and the jumpsuits are slightly more at £99. So under £100, like, it's, that's really, like, it's an affordable price for especially these days, like the amount of bridesmaids that people have. Like the average now is like 5 or 6, maybe with smaller weddings that might change, but certainly at the minute that is the average. Whereas 3-4 years ago, the average was like 2 or 3. You'd always have like a couple of bridesmaids and a maid of honour. So I've tried to keep it a really affordable price. And you know what? A lot of people always ask me, well, why have you never got a shop? Well, if I get a shop, that price is about to double. So that's why I'll always stay online as well, so that I can offer a really fair price.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point, really, something that I didn't think of. But yeah, excellent. What I would say, I've got another question. Oh, it's for me this time. I don't like questions. It's a part of the game. My partner is very camera shy and hates posing for photos. Any tips for him? Pick the best tip is pick the right photographer in the terms of who you feel comfortable with and who he feels comfortable with. Because if he, let's be honest, let's talk it from a man's point of view. If he thinks, oh, he's a bit of a wally, or he's a bit this or a bit that, like which us men do, then he's never gonna play ball or relax with him. If he can find someone that has a laugh, has a bit of a giggle, can talk man chat with him, not just sort of boss him around and do this and do that and hold a hand like this, and then it's just about dealing with them. See, me personally, I just befriend everybody on the day and get the best results. So for example, and hopefully not too many photographers are listening and nicking my tips, I will get them to interact, but I'll get them to interact in a very, very silly manner. So on pre-shoots, my most common tip is to get the groom to speak into the bride's ear, but what I'll get him to do is maybe order his favorite Indian meal, dish by dish, in his best Scottish accent, and what that does, that creates just such a laugh, we have a bit of a giggle, and then I just go click, click, click. And I posted on my Instagram today actually a picture of a bride and groom that were just naturally laughing. And I know it's a bit of a cheesy caption, but it's true. Like we capture natural laughter, not awkward, cheesy. So like, only cheese should be on the menu. It shouldn't be anywhere else. Just have fun, have a laugh. And if you can't have that with your photographer, then definitely look for someone that you can. It's really important that you get the day once, so you need to make sure you get yourselves across in the way you want to be remembered, not look back at them. Like I've met so many couples over the years that I haven't photographed their day, and they've been married, and they go, "Oh, look at my photos. I wish. Why did we do that?" And just don't have that regret. Just generally just get someone. And I said this a couple of weeks ago when I was asked, "Is how do you pick your photographer?" And as I said, just find the work that you love. Meet them, and then you're not questioning the work because you know you love the work. You're just going there to basically interview them, see how they feel, chuck a couple of swerve balls at them, see how they react. Like your personality, if you're more a serious person, then talk serious, don't sit quiet, and see how they react. If it all gets a bit awkward, you know they're not for you. Again, if you're a lot of my grooms are lads and they're jokers and they chuck an insult, I just chuck an insult back and they love it. It's finding the right match it's so important, and people overlook that for a lot of suppliers. They just see a price and they go for the price. They don't actually go for what they're physically getting, be it a service, a personality, or anything like that. So I hope that answers the question. But yeah, just tell him to relax, chill. It's everyone's rooting for him, and the photographer wants him to look great. So don't be nervous. And Photoshop is a wonderful, wonderful tool. So someone said Debbie, they're getting married at High House. There was another one about flowers. I really want white and cream. I'll let you do that because I'll just say the names.
Peonies and roses for our wedding. Yeah, they absolutely will look great together. They really complement each other. Yes, they will be in season. This is the other thing, I think the other side to it that no one ever knows, that I need to, a peony season really is from late April to mid-July. So in May, they're kind of, when I order peonies in, they're like bullets, they're rock hard. So I have to get peonies in about 10 days before your wedding day, and then they go into a vase and I look after them and I talk to them, and then they start opening up. And then the roses have to come in 2 days before the wedding. So it's all about planning, you know, that's how much planning goes into your bouquet and every flower in your wedding, so that I know on your wedding day the peonies are going to be open just the right day, the roses are going to be open at just the right day, and they're all going to look amazing. But yeah, you can definitely have those two in May. For sure. It'll look amazing.
Perfect. I'm being chucked a few now. I don't ever get asked questions. I feel spoiled.
Good.
Would you say a videographer is a must for a wedding? It's an absolutely must. It is the most overlooked thing, and I think it was 2018, maybe 2019. Hitched done a poll on the most regretted thing not booked by brides by people that had been married, and videography won top of the list hands down. It was massive. I did post, funny enough, a video a couple of weeks ago of an evening party, and if that's not enough to let you know to have a videographer and a videographer to be there all day and all night, then watch that and I think you might change your mind. At the moment it's very competitive out there, especially for video. Again, be careful, just make sure you go with the right. We personally offer quite a competitive price, but yeah, just definitely have a look around. If you want a quote from us, just get in touch and we'll happily give you one. If we're booked, we'll point you in a good direction of someone reliable, but there is a lot out there, so just make sure you do your research, especially if you do it via Facebook groups, because I don't know if anyone's done that, but you'll pop, can anyone recommend such and such, and you'll probably get 300 messages in the next half an hour. So yeah, just do your research. But like I say, there is loads of good ones out there from £500 for the day up to £2,000 for the day. And I can't lie, they all offer something amazing. So there's no right or wrong. It's just what you need and what you require. One for you, Debbie, for behind the top table.
I would say that it's dependent on your view. If you have got a really nice view behind your top table, I would always advise you don't cover it up. If you're looking over nice greens, nice scenery, you don't want to put a curtain there to cover it. So you could use the Moongate arch, which would sit behind the top table, which is totally see-through. If you've got a blank wall, my favourite is the starlight backdrop. I would always recommend the starlight backdrop because I think you get value for money from it. The flower wall looks lovely, but once it gets dark, the flower wall is redundant. The starlight backdrop helps add to your evening atmosphere. I think it helps make the party. You've got the twinkling lights. It helps set the scene in the evening, and it looks beautiful during the day as just a curtain.
Perfect. And this is again just open to probably three of us, because I doubt should I say at the evening at the meal. Have you been to many weddings where there isn't a top table? Does the room look okay without a centre point? From my point of view of photographing, I would say the best weddings are the ones where it's just the bride and groom on a table on their own personally. But I know that might take away from decor and floristry, because obviously it's a small amount to do. But for me personally, I don't have elbows and people leaning in for wine ruining my nice photo of a magic moment between a couple. So it's a very selfish one. But I don't think the room looks out of place. I think as long as you've got the right decor team and floristry team in there to make it look amazing, then I think it looks fine. What about you, Debbie? What do you think?
I think it depends on how you feel as the bride and groom. So I was maid of honour for my brother and sister-in-law. They didn't want to be centre of attention. They didn't want to sit on a top table with everybody looking at everybody sitting in a row. We sat on a round table. So theoretically, they had the top table, but we sat in a round table just in with everybody else. The room looked amazing. It looked no different. And I think that unless you draw attention to the fact that you're not having a top table, I don't think people would notice, if I'm honest.
No, what about yourself, Vicky? What do you think?
I think so. I guess some people have like a round table as their top table, don't they? And then sit in amongst the guests. And we can still kind of create a focal point with the flowers that still highlights that is the top table, but they're still sitting in a circle amongst. I mean, I've got to admit, on my wedding day, I found it weird sitting at the front with everybody looking at you eating, and you kind of just wanted to be in with everyone else because they were all having a laugh and a joke and all of that, and you kind of felt like you were on stage. So I get why a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that, but you could still have a round table and then sit with all of your family. And then, as I say, we'll just make a really special centerpiece for your table that highlights that's the top table, but you're in amongst it. And yeah, like you say, Andy, with the sweetheart table, they can still have a really nice floral arrangement on there. And actually, it's actually easier to dress a smaller table than it is a bigger one anyway. I think when you have such a long top table, always, don't just have one small central design, because there's so much expanse of tablecloth left. So I normally encourage people to have lots of smaller flower arrangements going along, and then obviously you've got all your paraphernalia with your glasses and your cutlery, and it kind of just dresses it all really nicely. Yeah, do what makes you happy. Have what you want.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I think you worry. It's the amount of times when people say, "Oh, it's tradition," and I hear that a lot, and I'm like, "No, it's your wedding day."
Yeah,
absolutely.
You just get people that are so caught up on it. But it's funny you talk about the top table. When I was best man to my brother, I just see my mates and his mates. We share the same group of friends. I was just looking at the table of them and thinking, I want to be over there. I don't want to be sitting up here. They're having so much fun, and I'm like sat next to. I think it was his wife's mother in between, and I was a bit like, this is boring. I'm gonna go and be with the lads. And I'm sure you girls are the same. So, Victoria, there's a last question here, and by the way, if I have missed your question, please pop it back in again and I'll happily read it out or put it up. So yeah, this one's for you, Victoria.
I can get dried petal confetti, but the truth of it is you actually might be able to get it cheaper than what I can. I've sort of had this request from brides before, and I reach out. I suppose it depends on the quality. Obviously, I can get really, really nice, good quality, but obviously then the price is a lot more, essentially for something that gets thrown up in the air and then walked over. So I don't know. I think there are lots of places where you can buy it and get it quite cheaply online, and it does the same job. But if you do want a really nice quality one that's maybe got certain flowers in that would match with your wedding and things like that, then yeah, but yeah, I could definitely help. And I know people that do these things.
Perfect. Well, would like to, we've got through all the questions now, so if anyone's got any more, but there's a couple of things I'd like to ask that I think people would find quite useful. So obviously, maybe for you, Chanel, here, a lot of people are sort of sitting waiting. They can't get out to see dresses, they can't get out to do this. So what's the latest that they can come to you if they say, oh, lift the gates and everyone can go back to having a wedding? When can they sort of expect to have a dress ordered and it arrive?
You know what, I get asked this literally on a daily, so it's a really good question. My dresses are made to measure, as I said, so really it's down to availability. I'm flexible in the sense, like, they don't have to come, like, I don't have a showroom or anything like that, so if I can send out colour swatches now to help you choose your colours. But what I started offering at the start of lockdown last year is a deposit option. So before, they'd place their order, they would send me their measurements, their dresses would be made, it might be a year in advance, like it didn't matter. But then with all the postponed weddings, I started to take a deposit option, which meant that they would then send me their measurements at a later date. So like today, for example, I've had a bride message me who was due to send me her measurements at the end of this month. She was getting married in July and has decided to postpone. So we've just simply moved the date that she'll send me her measurements. There's no pressure there. I'll always honour their new dates. But I don't like to stress and I don't like to rush. So I wouldn't want to say I can do your dresses in a month because it might not be realistic. So the biggest selling point with the dresses is the waistbands. There's like 2 to 3 dress sizes give. So if you order your dresses now for, say, your July wedding, and a month before you've unfortunately had to postpone until next year, for the dresses, it doesn't matter. They're still going to fit. Even if the girls get pregnant, like, there is so much give in the dresses, you really don't have to worry. So I would rather me be stressed and you be stressed 4 weeks before the wedding trying to get your dresses made. I would have them sooner rather than later. Get yourself some nice dress bags. If unfortunately you do have to postpone, they can stay nice in your wardrobe for another year.
Perfect. Right, there was some more that I did miss. I think this one, Victoria, is there something flower related that the kids can make to keep them entertained?
Ooh. Yeah, I suppose it depends on the age of the kids, really. I mean, you could certainly have like a little jam jar selection of flowers, and then like maybe a little bucket with some of the Oasis foam in that they could then create themselves a little flower arrangement while they were sitting at the table. That would be quite nice, and it might keep them entertained for a little while. Or, you know, and then maybe have sort of a drawing pad there with some colouring pencils that they can then sort of sit and draw the little flower arrangement that they've sat and made. I'm always up for a new challenge. I like thinking of different things, but I've run flower little workshops with children, and I know that they love sticking flower stems in flower foam. So if you gave them a little pot of flowers and a little bucket with flower foam in, they'd be quite happy for quite a while, really. And I probably would suggest that I cut them all down first so they didn't have to sit with scissors at the table. But yeah, it'd be quite a good idea.
It's funny you say that, because I could recommend 2 things not to get, which I have seen and witnessed. One being slime. You will lose your deposit from the venue. That was at one wedding, and this was at the favours for all of the men, and this was actually my friend's wedding. And I don't know if you've seen them. They're like the rocket balloons, which come with a little sort of bit of plastic that you have to blow the balloon up, and when you let it go, it goes off, but it makes like this really horrible noise. So I don't know what they were thinking, like we was going to behave ourselves, but for the whole wedding breakfast, you were sort of eating your dinner and you'd get that in the side of the head with a balloon. Honestly, there was close to 200 people, and all it was this buzzing noise of these balloons going backwards and forwards all the way. So avoid them. But another great tip is what I've seen that keeps kids so quiet is little Lego sets. Really does keep sort of children entertained. Or an entertainer. There's plenty of them. There was one about keeping flowers fresh after the wedding. You might have answered this.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the chat, we just covered that when I deliver the bridal bouquet, it always comes in a vase full of water, and the water's got lots of lovely flower food in it. So once you finish handling that bouquet, as long as somebody has thought to bring the vase down from the room, or it could go back up in the room if you needed it to, and just keep it somewhere cool as well. And then that will just keep drinking and it'll be quite happy.
Perfect. Chanel, just one for you. My dress had to be hanging in my bedroom for a year. Is it okay to store it this way?
Yeah, I think just keep it out of any sunlight. The really soft, like almost velvety hangers are really good, because then you're avoiding putting any like indents into the material. I'm assuming you're talking about well, if you're talking about bridesmaids dresses or your wedding dress, I think the main thing is keeping it out of sunlight and keeping it covered so that you don't get dust on it.
Yeah, I think keeping it in, I think this question came out for the suits a couple of weeks ago. And you just said make sure you're keeping a suit bag, so a dress bag. Yeah, I'd say that's
so
100%
you can buy them anywhere. So but yeah, that's, and just a nice soft hanger for them to hang on.
Perfect. Well, that comes with them. What I would say is if the same question really to Vicky and Debbie that I asked you before the questions come back in is how late can someone book you? I know, Debbie, you've got a lot of your stock as such, but flower wise and much notice do you guys need for someone that's sitting here thinking, should I book my wedding? Should I not? Should I? Because before I let you answer that, I generally believe that once they lift this restriction, I think it's going to go mad. Because I've said before, small weddings are now acceptable, and there's lots of people that couldn't afford that big occasion that they felt they had to have. So I think there's going to be lots of inquiries coming flying in very, very soon. So what's the latest that they can book on?
Do you want to go, Deb, first?
I don't mind, Vic. I would always say give us as much notice as possible. However, as Andy did say, we have got bundles and bundles of stock. If it's there, I can supply it. If it's not there, I can't supply it if it's already booked out. My advice would be, if you've found the right florist, event dresser, any service really, book them, pay your deposit and secure your date, because most good suppliers will be happy to move that date if you need to move that date, and they will accommodate you. I've accommodated every single one of my brides that have needed to move. Probably not by preference on some of the dates, because I like to do one wedding on one day and give it my 100% attention, but I've been totally transparent with all of my brides, and if it does mean that it doubles up with another bride and groom, yes, we can still supply, but I might have to split myself between the two weddings, but there will be my team at your wedding. I just think if you found the right supplier, get them booked, get them secured in so that because I think that's one stress that you then don't have to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I honestly believe that I've always said this to couples, is when they say, well, when should I book? And I always say, get who you want, do never get who's left.
Yeah.
It's so important.
I agree with you.
So Debbie, just while you're on there, just give us a brief description from sort of like what can people get from you I know we know decor, balloons, so what's your range?
So we can supply you as much or as little that you're looking for. So we do centerpieces, we do flower walls, we do sweethearts, we do backdrops. Something that I haven't mentioned tonight, we have got a magic mirror. So for any of you that don't know, a magic mirror is a form of photo booth, but it's totally open. So I've now gone to calling it selfie mirror rather than a magic mirror, because it is what it says on the can. It's a selfie mirror. We all like to take selfies. We're in the day and age of selfies. I actually think going forward, whether the government are going to allow us to use props or not use props, I think the selfie mirror is going to be a great add-on to any wedding. So it is what it says on the can. You stand in front of a very large mirror and you get a full length picture. And I know for many brides, us ladies, we love a selfie. For me, I get better pictures off the selfie mirror than I do trying to take them myself as a selfie. They're a great add-on. They're a great aspect to your party in the evening. We've got a very fun attendant that comes with ours, who actually gets quite involved and actually really enjoys it. It's not me. You'll be pleased to know. But yeah, I just think that it's something that I sell as an add-on, but I think that it really does add to your party atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much. And Vicky, over to yourself. So, can you remember the question? How late can people book?
Did we, just going on the first question about how close to the wedding can somebody, so again, like Debbie said, in an ideal world, I normally only take one wedding booking per day, just so I can feel like I'm really on top of things. Again, this has all kind of been thrown up in the air. I've got loads of hands on deck, so I'm really lucky that I've got some really talented florists that actually come and work alongside me. So as Andy says, I think we're going to find ourselves in a really busy situation. So I will have a team here working with me. So I've been able to, again, reallocate all dates to be as helpful as I possibly can. But no flowers will leave here without me finalising and scrutinising everything before it goes out. So they will all come out simply stunning. And also on that note, me and Debbie are backing each other up as well. So if Debbie's got a couple of weddings on one day and I haven't, then I'm going to be overseeing that, and her likewise. And we've been fortunate enough to work together enough times that we know how the other one works and how the other one would like a wedding venue to be left. So if you don't see me, you might possibly see Debbie, or the other way around. Yay! It's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, always ask. Even if you've suddenly decided to just go for it and you're going to get married in 3 weeks' time, just drop me a message, because if I am able to do it and I am able to help, there's still time to put the wedding order in. There's a flower market every day of the week, so it's doable. You just might not be able to be as picky as what you could be if you were sort of booking it in quite a way in advance. Did I answer all of that question, or is there more?
No, you've done well, but someone has just popped you another question in.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So we can do anything from really simple hair vines. It depends what you're looking for, really. I normally say that I'm happy to collaborate with your wedding hairstylist. So, because it might be that they just want some flower stems left over, and then they'll kind of pin them into your hair depending on the style, or they might want me to wire them. Andy's seen me in a bridal suite wiring up flowers while the hairdresser puts them in. So whatever I'm needed to do, whether it's on the day or pre-made and then it gets delivered, that's fine. But it is sometimes better if I talk to the hairstylist just to make sure that it's how they need it.
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. So our Instagram handles have been going across the bottom. So I believe they all work on Facebook as well. So do try and follow. Chanel, yourself, how can people get hold of you to inquire about the dresses? What's their best route to get in contact?
Facebook or Instagram, email as well. But generally, I prefer Facebook and Instagram because then our whole conversation is on the same thread. I tend to find that I might get an inquiry on email and then they'll nip back to Facebook again. So I think it's just best to always keep your conversation on the same thread. So yeah, either or, Facebook or Instagram.
Perfect. Debbie, yourself?
Same for me, Facebook or Instagram. A lot of my work is on Facebook and Instagram. We do have a website, so you can contact us through the website, but I'd say our social media platforms, as Chanel said, are the easiest way to contact us.
And is that the same for you, Vicky?
Yeah, so if you look at my website, that's a really good starting point, because I offer packages, because people quite often don't even know what's the starting point for flower prices. So although my packages might not quite work for you, we can add bits on and play about with them to make them slightly more bespoke, but it's a really good starting point. And then there's an inquiry form that links straight off of there, or again, yeah, Instagram, Facebook.
Perfect.
However,
well, I've got to say, there's yeah, I'm going to say people don't like to talk anymore, do they? It's quite funny. Everyone's like, I'm not phoning him. That's weird. Because I'm quite old school, because there's people that really know me know that I blame predictive text, but basically I can't spell. So I just basically always pick up the phone and ring people, because I'm like, I can explain better, because I don't know what word to use. So yeah, I'm a Mr. Talker, so please ring or email, because there's predictive text on there. I've got Grammarly on there. But no, there's been a lot of love coming, saying thank you and how helpful it's been, and what great entertainment it's been. So thank you very much, all three of you, for giving up your Friday evening, because I know you all had like loads of plans.
No.
So I would say if you three stay where you are, I'll end the broadcast in a second, and we can chat offline. Tuesday is our last Tuesday next week. It's going to be a good one. It's myself and my good friend David Dean talking all things photography. So any questions there, and obviously any wedding related, but just don't ask us about bras, because we probably won't know. We're going to be into yes, we're going to be interviewed by Simon from Arrow Vintage Cars, so you can obviously all put them in, and Aaron from Scarlet Heart. So they're there, so please do ask them questions as well. But if anybody knows and has ever seen me and David Dean together, you'll know it's not one to be missed. It'll be full of laughs and insults and jokes, but yeah. And then Friday we have a treat. I believe on the following Friday we have a group of brides that are in your situation, and you can ask them how they're dealing with things. And we also have a bride that got married, which myself, Debbie and Vicky covered. Jade, who had a lot in with just 15 people. So she will also be on, just to give us a little insight in how she went from having a day that she didn't expect to have, and how amazing she thought it was. And if anyone has the Essex Wedding magazine, she was published in there last month, so she'll be good to get on and have a little chat. But yeah, thank everybody for tuning in. My son is trying to break through the door, so I will end the live now. He wants his room back. And thank you, and see you on Tuesday.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.